Hey guys, thanks for joining me again for the recording of the blog. So this week's blog, it's a little bit long, maybe like a minute longer than normal. So if you don't have a whole lot of time, it's probably like around 15 minutes. So if you don't have time right this second, you might want to come back to it. Anyway, the name of the blog this week is called The Seeds Within. Okay, so let's get started. We are both human and divine. We know that. We're all spiritual beings having a physical experience. We know that too. Part of our mission here is to learn how to integrate the two parts of our nature in order to fulfill our life purpose as a soul. These are things that most of us on a spiritual path also know and embrace as truth. We usually spend our days checking our sometimes fearful ego, the mortal human part that is sometimes bent on disregarding the spiritual side of life, focusing on personal self-gratification, maybe a little too much, and finding drama or negativity in just about everything. We also, of course, have our soul, our immortal part that sees beauty and blessings and opportunities to grow and learn in everything, even the things that most of us would describe as maybe a dark night of the soul or difficulties, adversities, because it is keenly aware that everything that happens to us during an incarnation is for the benefit of our soul's evolution and the evolution of all of our souls together. It can be a constant struggle, though, trying to stay in the middle instead of compartmentalizing our lives into, well, here's my spiritual life and here's my physical life. They're separate rather than working together. Now, I personally was raised in a home where our faith, Catholicism, was at the heart of our daily lives, like really every moment of every day. My 7 siblings and I knew that we had a personal responsibility to follow the 10 commandments of Christian theology. We went to Mass every day, not just Sundays. We said the rosary every night on our knees in front of the Sacred Heart, a statue of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. We also went to Catholic school, so our days were filled with spirit and what it means to live a life of sanctity and truth. We did have our temptations, of course, to listen to that snarky voice of our ego who urges us sometimes to break the rules and kind of cross over to the dark side. Now, I can't speak for my 7 siblings, but for me, whenever I had one of those moments to do or to say something that was beyond the parameters of love and kindness, I knew that even if no one ever found out, Jesus was always there. He was always around us, and he would know. And I didn't want to let him down. However, to be clear, I certainly wasn't a saint by any means. The temptations sometimes often won out, and I was not the person of piety and divine love that I wanted to be. It's just a hard thing for any of us to be, really, because of both our human and divine nature. Yet I always did have that still small voice of my soul within me that continually forgave me and urged me to forgive myself, be repentant, and move on, vowing to do better and be better. I was fortunate to have an upbringing like that taught me the importance of living a life directed by love and light of our Creator. That Creator, of course, to whom we are all connected, all of us. And as I grew into adulthood and went through much adversity, chaos, and pain, I had my faith to hold me up, to give me hope. when hope seemed very hard to find. And I had my team of light to whisper softly to my very, very frightened self at the time, urging me to never give up, pray for assistance, and trust in my soul's wisdom. I must admit, there were times when I felt abandoned by God, truly. And I wept with self-pity and asked him why. Why was he allowing such atrocities to occur in my life when I really, for the most part, was trying so hard to be a good person? During those times, I decided that perhaps God just wanted me to figure things out for myself without his help. Maybe that would make me stronger. So I tried, but I quickly learned that that was far from the truth. I needed him to help me in all aspects of my life, but I still needed to do the work as well. Through God's guidance and that of my spiritual team, which I grew to know, I began to find the answers to life's difficult questions at the end of my pen or computer screen later. And throughout those trying times, I always journaled because that was my solace. Truly. It was my solace, and it was my doorway to my authentic self, the real me. And as I wrote, tears of anguish and uncertainty, lots of uncertainty, stained the pages of my sacred journals, one after the other. Yet, through that fruitful process, I gained the guidance and the strength that I needed to endure and overcome my struggles. This dedication to my writing took me to a place within me where I discovered many of the spiritual truths that I was looking for, and some I didn't even know I was looking for, that I found there. Of course, I did seek out books and wise spiritual teachers who also touched the seeds of wisdom that were already lying dormant within me. Those seeds of enlightenment were just waiting for the right moment and the perfect conditions for them to begin to grow and to blossom and to come alive in my consciousness. Often those perfect moments for me was when I was on my knees weeping in despair. But it's not the same for everyone. We can also grow as well from joy, from gratitude, and a pious intention to truly, truly understand the esoteric truths of our mortal and immortal existence. Now, many of us didn't grow up with any religion at all. Some grew up in a childhood filled with religious dogma and doctrine that didn't quite match the days in between the requirement of attending that weekly service. In other words, we weren't taught to practice what we preach, or we were raised by parents who said, do as I say, not as I do. Yet somewhere in the confusion and in the absence of spiritual direction, it doesn't matter, there was still a voice within that called to us through the silence and through our dreams. Those loving voices were that of our soul and our team of light, who would never give up trying to break through the barriers of unconsciousness and pour forth the cool waters of conscious awareness and spiritual awakening. Religion, though helpful for some, is definitely not necessary to help us evolve as a soul. In fact, it can sometimes be a detriment, as the man-made, ego-driven dogma and doctrine can be sometimes in opposition to the real truth. Before embarking on this human journey, we were guided by our soul and our team of life on the other side to choose our parents, our siblings, our spouses, our friends, who would share our earthly journey with us. We chose certain people because we knew that having those souls in our lives would help us to remember an important truth, that we, at our very core, are immortal beings made of divine love and the infinite light. We are powerful beyond comprehension, and as growing souls, we needed to learn how to use that tremendous power responsibly and in the name of love. Even those people in our lives who may have been abusive, cruel, or neglectful, though it doesn't seem this way, I know, but they were perfect catalysts to push us deep within to the temple of our soul's light. And there, in that sacred space, we discovered the precious seeds of wisdom just waiting for the right moment to grow and blossom, revealing the hidden truths that were consciously or unconsciously that we were looking for. Our experiences and where we were on the path of our soul's evolution would determine which seeds would grow and blossom, revealing some of God's truths at a specific time, and which ones would not. Eventually, as we continue to grow and evolve, all of the precious seeds of truth we all hold within our soul's divine energy will develop and reveal the entire truth and the raison d'être, as you might say, the reason for everything and the reason for being. The point here is this: believing that someone else is better than we are because they seemingly hold more wisdom, truth, and enlightenment is a serious misunderstanding. It's like seeing a garden where some flowers have fully unfurled, revealing all of their full magnificence, and some are still a tiny bud, not quite ready to take their place among the flowers who before them fully understood their purpose within the garden. Anyone who holds themselves up, this is important, anyone who holds themselves up as the only way for us to learn the truth and find our way back to our Creator once this lifetime is complete or another lifetime, is either completely misguided or simply a hypocrite searching for ways to embolden or aggrandize his or her already out of control ego. And I don't mean that out of judgment. It's just something that their path is, they have to go through, and they'll all come back to the path of love eventually. So we were all created equal and are all equally loved by our Creator. Just as humans grow from a tiny babe to adulthood and beyond, so do our souls as they remember the truth of our divine beingness. Some humans living simultaneously have souls, meaning simultaneously means souls we're sharing this planet with right now. Some of them have souls likened to innocent newborns. Some, they're curious, like curious toddlers, then inquisitive children, impetuous teens, more enlightened adults, and eventually there are ascended masters and wise ones among us who have gone through all that we are going through. As I've said before, we must all move through each of the levels of consciousness in order to fully evolve. Can't skip one level. During those levels, one by one, every seed of enlightenment within us will open, eventually bringing us home. But they're in there all the time, from the very beginning. They were in there. But as we go through the levels of consciousness, when we're ready to understand, those seeds will blossom and the truth will be revealed. So this is the truth, and this is our destiny. As we move farther along on our path, one of the most gratifying of all spiritual and all human experiences is to be able to reach into the hearts of those souls, maybe just a few steps behind us, and extend to them a helping hand. Sometimes, I know this from experience, sometimes it takes but a word or a sentence or even just a kind gesture to stir and awaken one or more of those dormant God seeds within them, urging those tiny seeds to begin their journey and spiritual purpose. And that purpose is to develop and to unfold the delicate petals protecting God's blessed truths. Upon their beatific opening, they will reveal for each of us the next bit of truth for us to utilize as a stepping stone to the next level of our spiritual consciousness. No one is ever left behind. No one. That is a promise. For God loves us all. There are no exceptions. No matter what the circumstances of our present lives might be, He will never abandon us. Never. So that's it for me. It's a little long, so I am going to say goodbye quickly. And I hope everybody has a really, really great week. And again, thank you for joining me. I love you all, and I will see you next time. Namaste.